You're listening to Tarazi Tuesdays with the Bible as Literature.
Hi, this is Father Mark Boulos, and you are listening to Tarazi Tuesdays with the Bible as Literature podcast. This week, Father Paul deftly points out that in the story of the Bible, the personal and singular primacy of Moses is the individual and singular primacy of the 5 books of the law. I am delighted to introduce Father Paul on the Bible as Literature podcast, Tarazi Tuesdays.
And when the people tell you, but Father Paul, we all know that there is only one God, not according to the Bible. And you have it in the following verse. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all gods. You have it in the text. You cannot contradict it. But I heard a short podcast from an Antiochian priest in South Carolina where he was presenting it with 2 youngsters, a boy and a girl. And then he made the boy say that the disciples were stupid and couldn't understand Jesus because they didn't have what we have now, 20 centuries of theology. Did you hear that? Let me repeat it. And it's still posted. Ask Father Timothy Lowe about it. The disciples are stupid and betrayed Christ because they didn't yet have the 20 centuries of theology with which we are blessed. So what this young man is saying on the YouTube, that's why we Orthodox of all kind, by definition, do not betray Jesus. That's the teaching. That's sacrilege. But that's what you hear. So please open your ears when you hear me. But anyway, that's the name of the game. I know Jethro is speaking that the Lord is greater than all gods because he delivered the people from under the hand of the Egyptians. And hear this in English. When they dealt arrogantly with them. But in Hebrew, you don't have when. You don't have on account of. But this is not enough. Because in Hebrew, you have badabar on the word. And thus you have an opportunity here to repeat my teaching about the original meaning of dabar, which is the matter at hand. Take note of this. Exodus 18:11. And then you have the institution of the judges, which is very interesting. Let me go over it quickly. That these judges represent Moses, but notice how the text is very smart. I say the text, or you can say Jethro, it doesn't matter. Why are you doing this? That people come and inquire of God through you. What you're doing is not good because it's becoming too heavy for you. Again, the Hebrew, I need to repeat that. The Hebrew sound like this because the matter is kabed, which is the same root as kabod, glory, which I always remind you. It's the heaviness. In English, you have that word from Latin, the gravity of something. Okay? So please learn Hebrew. Learn Hebrew. Forget about reading NATO commentaries. Just learn Hebrew. It is too much. It's so kabed that only the kabod of God can deal with it. And listen to my counsel and appoint people to judge. They will rule. You have the word sarim in 21, which means leaders. It's the same word that is translated sometimes as prince or general of an army. But the main function, you hear it in verse 22, let them judge, from the verb shafat. And do this, and let them come to you when you have grave matters that they cannot handle. So Moses is still the reference. But don't give the USA Supreme Court as an example to Moses. Please! Moses is 1. The Supreme Court is 9. Don't play games. Moses is Moses. Technically, in the Bible, Moses means the 5 books of the law, the Pentateuch. That's what Moses is. There is no Moses the man, as we imagine. And the ending is very interesting because it tells you that in verse 26, and they judged the people at all times, meaning they functioned as judges. Hard cases they brought to Moses, but any small matter they decided themselves. Let's hear it in Hebrew. And they judged the people at all time. The matter, had-dabar, one more time. Haqqasha, which means hard, we still have it in Arabic, qasi, something which is hard like a rock. They brought it to Moses, but, I repeat, any small matter, again, dabar katon, they judged themselves. Then Moses let his father-in-law depart, and he went his way to his own country. You see the sudden apparition of Jethro. The last verse is very important because the child between 6 and 10 will understand. So Jethro must have come specially, and perhaps one of those students saying, sent by God, the Lord who delivered Israel from Egypt, specially to visit Moses and give him this instruction. One more time, not the importance of the text. The text is our only reference. As it is written, as the apostle said many times. As it is written, and I have here Richard Benton who will always remind you, by the way, it is written in biblical Hebrew. I heard him several times say this. In the past, he used to say in Hebrew. But now I'm pleased to hear him say in biblical Hebrew, which, by the way, is written without the so-called vocalic sounds. So you have to hear it as such. And peace be upon you, my hearer, from the Almighty, who is not like the other gods who do exist in the Bible.
The Bible as Literature is a production of the Ephesus School Network.